Hey, let's get started with our beautiful Starry Night that's done in kind of a Van Gogh impasto style. I'm doing the Bethlehem star kind of idea. So combining Christmassy some theme with Van Gogh's Starry Night in a beautiful impasto. Let's get started. It's going to be so fun. As usual, I'm going to start out with my big workhorse, the 1-inch flat. And I'm just going to spritz my canvas with a little bit of water and wake it up. Sometimes I forget this step because I'm so excited to get started painting. Let's get started with the center of the painting that I want to do a lovely glow on. So I want the star to be the highlight of the show in the starry skies. And I'm going to make a very, very bright, very pale blue color. Because in my thought pattern, the sky is going to be affected by the glow of that one amazing star. Part of the Christmas story, right? Where the shepherds were in the field and they saw an amazing sky. So then I just dipped into the primary blue with my dirty brush, slowing down as I get to the light blue. I don't want to completely obliterate it. All right, so now I can start working the blue out to be deeper and richer and start adding some more colors. So this is just straight up primary blue from that set. I'm leaving it kind of streaky. Going to do a little bit more of the straight up primary blue, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the red to it to make it more purpley. At this point, I don't want the paint very thick because the impasto needs to, it won't stick to the thick paint, it'll just smush around. So smushing is a technical term, by the way. All right, now I'm going to add a little bit of red, and you see how it makes it a little bit more purple? Just a beautiful, rich color. Pretty nice. Now I'm adding a little bit of black to that blue and red color. Let's see what happens here. Ooh. Night is falling. Cool. So I've got my glow and gradually getting darker and darker towards the outer edges. Pretty. You can spend all day long fussing with this, but the truth is it's gonna get mostly covered up anyway. So I'm gonna call it good. The only thing I'm super concerned about is I want the star to be the focal point. And so I'm looking at that glow going, is it big enough for what I want to do? So I think I'm gonna wash my brush and maybe just feather out a little bit more of that glow color to make the oval a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna start with mostly white. It really depends on how wet the surrounding area is to know how much blue my brush is going to pick up along the way. Now I just picked up quite a bit of blue, so I'm not going to go back over the light spot, that's for sure. I watch people do that all the time, not thinking about what's on their brush, and they want to go touch something up, but they don't remember what's on their brush. So. Cool, I'm happy with that. Now we get to play. So these gels, I'll go ahead and mix up the gel in a container so you can see it. I'm gonna take this yellow with my palette knife, scoop it in here, and I'm gonna keep my palette knife dirty because that's just what we're gonna do. So this, I mix it about half and half with paint. This is going to be more than I need for this painting, but chances are I'll be doing this again. So now I'm using it doesn't look clean, but it is. Ha! There is a plastic thing on the top here. Whew! This has a little bit of an odor to it. It's like opening up a fresh jar of frosting. Delicious. Don't eat it. Okay, so about half and half with the paint. I'm gonna keep this paint free for the moment. So the gel is white when it's wet and it dries clear. So all of these colors will take on a little bit of a white color to them, but they dry much more vivid. So it's not to worry. So there's that. And half and half with the gel. This is gloss gel. They come in different finishes. Some are heavy, some are not. I haven't played with them enough to tell much of a difference between the regular gel or heavy gel. Sweet. So when I'm playing with these, I'm going to put some of this back onto my palette now. I'm just scooping it out and putting a chunk. That way, this that I've already mixed up isn't going to get contaminated. and I'm going to put it in a little airtight container. This is where the paper towel comes in handy. Before I put the lid on the yellow, I should have gotten some out for my palette. There we go. So now I wipe it clean. I'll give it a rinse in the soapy water also. So I've done that with the other colors. So that's how you mix it, half and half. I just happen to have these already pre-mixed, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of these colors on my palette. So I'm going to start with the star, and I'm going to choose a round brush. This is a number 4 round, and with the star, I'm going to start in the middle, draw down, start in the middle, draw up, start in the middle, draw to the side, and I'm rolling my round brush to a tip in the paint. Here you go. And then on the angles now. Sweet. I'll come back in with impasto over the top of that, but let's get started with the glow. So I'm just gonna start streaking out some glow there. And now I'm going to wash my brush. That's the last little bit of just straight up paint I'm going to use. Now I'm going to be dipping into the different types of gel mixed with paint. This is, I'm loading up a little flat brush, but it's small, and loading it up with quite a bit of paint. And the reason for that is I want to leave quite a bit onto on the canvas. Sorry, I get creative and then words go away. That's just kind of a rule. It just happens. Now that I'm gonna switch to yellow. So this action is just going to become layer upon layer of color and thick impasto paint. Now I'm kind of done with this little guy. I'm going to go to my favorite, my Buddy Fill. This is going to lay down a little bit more paint because it's a bigger brush. I'm really trying to keep thick chunks of paint on there on the canvas. Do I care if it blends with the yellow? No, it's actually a good thing. This is all part of the glow around that star. Still trying to keep them separate dots. I don't want to like blend it too much, but overlapping the dots of color. Some white, some yellow, some mixed. Okay, I'm gonna go around with white, and then I'm gonna separate it out a little bit so that I can mix in a light blue. So now I'm gonna wash that off of my brush. This is where the paper towels come in handy. Wipe the goo off the brush, wash it, rinse it, pat it dry. I'm going to make a light version of this blue. How fun is that? Overlap some of the colors. Now I'm getting into my primary blue. I always load up a little bit more paint than I think I need, or just kind of smugger a little extra on there, because this is bulkier when it's wet, and when it dries, some of that bulk goes away. So if you want a real impasto thick paint look, you need to really lay it on thick right now. Now I'm going to move to the purple. So now I did the variation of color. I didn't do a lot of overlapping of the colors, but I will, a great technique right now would be to let it rest and to come back and do another layer, kind of just like overlapping a little bit some of the dots of color, but not all of them, because again, I want the separated dots of color to show the motion. So I'm gonna let that rest for a little bit. Oh, let me get rid of this stuff first. I can add some impasto look to the star. This is really all about what works for you. How are you gonna get the most impasto look on the star? So I'm using a small round brush, kind of loading it up on one side of the brush and laying it down. Again, this is a lot easier when the first coat has dried a little bit and you can go back over and not worry about dragging your hand in the mess. But I like a challenge. Before I get too far along, I do want to remember where I'm going to put my signature, and I'm going to block that off a little bit because painting over the impasto is almost impostable. Haha, made a joke. So I'm just going to carve out a spot right here for signing it. You might not see that because it's picking up the wet purple, but that's a reminder to me not to paint over that part with the impasto. I'll just go ahead and sign it. If it lets me. The wet purple is going to keep picking up. Sweet. A little bit unusual to sign the painting before you're done with it, but this impasto doesn't, it's not super forgiving for signing over the top of. So now I'm just going to work my way from the inside out again with another layer of my colors. So I don't really want to cover up completely the background. So just deciding when to say when is the hard part. I just realized I didn't do my line of swirls, so I'm going to do that. Which way am I going to swirl it? This is white mixed with the yellow because the yellow just doesn't cover, and I don't want it showing hints of green with the blue background. So I'm mixing the white and the yellow gel. Now we're just going to play with more dots of color, filling it in, making it look fuller. All right, now I'm going to take a peek from a distance and see what else I need to add. All right, I think I'm done. Enjoy playing with this paint. I just put my fingers in it. I'm going to scrape these off with my palette knife and save them for another project and put them in little reusable containers. And they'll stay pretty good for a while, couple months, if you keep them in a nice airtight container in a cool, dry area. And then you have your paints to play with the next time you want to do something really thick in impasto. It's really satisfying.